Hey, so I'm going to look at sires over middle distances and staying contests in Group 1 and Group 2s. So the first thing we do is we go to the race. Again, I'm going to look in UK and Ireland, flat turf, major race class 1 and 2, handicap no, and then runner. And I'm going to just look at the sires and the distance of the race. I'm going to put between 1 mile 2 furlongs and 1 mile 5 furlongs. So to me that's kind of a middle distance verging towards staying trips. We generate the report and that should give us a list of sires. And again with things like sires, I'm going to look at a minimum AE of 1 and an impact value of 125 and update that. So this gives us a pretty short list of sires. Obviously some of these have only won once, but some of them may well be first season sires and I don't want to miss those in case they go on to become good sires, so I'm just going to add them all in. We can see horses like Dalakani, Harbinger, these are all horses, Nathaniel, these are all horses that did well at middle distances. Ruler of the World, See the Stars obviously is in there. So that's quite a selective list. And we can see there that's got those sires, 28% strike rate, win P&L of 186, ROI of 81, A of 17 and an impact value of 2.29. The next thing I would do would be to look at the odds ranges of those kind of runners. So we can see favourites that are bred by that progeny, 60% strike rate, which is actually pretty high, I think. So it's definitely worth paying attention to those runners when they're favourite. But you can see overall the strike rate's pretty good. There's nothing really that's saying to avoid these guys. Next thing I'd probably look at would be breaking it down by distance to see if any particular distance is more relevant than the other. So we see 10 furlongs, 28%, 11 furlongs, small sample, 50%, 12 furlongs, 28%. So there's not really anything around 1 mile 5 furlongs. So yeah, that's a pretty solid looking system, and I'm quite happy with just leaving that as it is. Can maybe look at the difference in the country. So Ireland, there's maybe a few Irish bred runners in there, but again it's a small sample, so the strike rate is likely to be higher anyway. But yeah, I don't see any reason to avoid those. Again, there's nothing really that's different between Group 1 and Group 2, so I'm really happy with that as a kind of system, and I'll probably just call this flat Group 1, Group 2, sires, middle distance. Well, I'll just leave it as middle. It's pretty self-explanatory. Or just mid-dist. And add that as an angle. And I'll reset that and then start from the distance. So I want to look at 1 mile 5 furlongs up to maybe 2 miles 2. So I think this is where, well actually it's 1 mile 6, isn't it? Because I put 1 mile 5 as a maximum in the last one. So again, we just go through and select UK Ireland. We select the race code as flat turf. Major race classes 1 and 2. Handicap is no. And then look at the sires. So then we look at the summary. We can see there's very few qualifiers that are profitable there. It might be worth just reducing that to 1 to see if there's any additional ones. So that brought in another qualifier, I'm not sure, that brought in Master Craftsman, who's profitable. I don't really want to be going below that for for anything really. So it's quite a selective group of sires if we look at these filters. So I'll just add in all these guys. Generate that report. And so there, that's a 30% strike rate with a 96 points P&L, 91% ROI, good AE and impact value figures. And again, I would look at looking at the country, see if there's anything. So that the strike rate in Ireland, again, small sample, so we wouldn't pay too much attention to that. By class, again, pretty similar. Group 2 races surprisingly have a higher strike rate. It might be worth just having a look at Group 3s. No, there's nothing there. So distance. Again, it's actually a pretty decent strike rate from low sample. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I'll maybe look at the odds rank. So that's 68% of favourites by those sires win Group 1, Group 2 non-handicaps, and that's quite impressive. Again, there's a low strike rate here as you get higher up in the betting, which you would expect. But again, I'm happy with that as an angle. So I would just call that stairs. And I don't think there's going to be, if we just remove these sires, we can just adjust this system. I don't think there's going to be any races which are in excess of 2 mile 4 furlong. I'll just sort that by sire again. Okay, so that's Galileo, surprisingly, is quite low. But the sample size here is pretty small. Franklin Teofilio, 1 from 3, 1 from 5. This will be I guess it's going to be one of the Ascot staying, like the Queen's Vase, or it's the Gold Cup actually. Gold Cup. It's probably going to be the only one. You can see it's 420 at Ascot over the last few years. Found the winner in Courage Mon Ami in 2023. It found the winner in Kyprios in 2022. Found a winner in 2021. Subjectivist, although that's I suspect these might be, just check that's the Gold Cup again. It's probably going to be yeah, Subjectivist Gold Cup. There's a different race time here which found Stradivarius. That must have been an earlier running of the Gold Cup. You can see that that group of sires has found the last few Gold Cup winners. Obviously Stradivarius won it a few times, so there's a bit of an anomaly there. But the sire of Courage Mon Ami, the sire of Kyprios, you can see there's actually multiple qualifiers for those two sires. But I'm just gonna add those in anyway. So that's quite a short list with those sires. Subjectivist, I guess it's found 2023 and 2021, so 13 to 2 and 9 to 2. So it's a small sample size, but I'm quite happy to leave that in there, and I'll call that marathon. So that's basically just going to select horses in the Gold Cup. But anyway, that's the Sire angles completed for all those horses. Now, the good thing about having created systems for Sires is it's quite easy to change those to Damsires. So if we go to, for example, Sires Sprinters and generate the report and see the filters there, all we need to do is remove these Sires. I'm just being a bit lazy here because I want to make sure I've got the same settings for Sires and Damsires. So this is how I personally do it. And then I'll select Damsire and generate the report. So this is Damsires in sprint non-handicaps in Group 1, Group 2s. I'll just double check that the major race class is selected, countries are selected. So we can see that's quite a big list. Again, it's already filtered for AE and IV. I also want to make sure that they're showing a profit, so I'm going to do a win P&L minimum of let's say 5 points, or maybe actually just start with break even. So what I then do is I just add in all these guys. So these are all the sprinters and group races, group sprints, 1 and 2s. And it's going to produce quite a lot of qualifiers. Like I said, some of them are just one win. But once I've got these guys in, I'll show you how I kind of narrow it down a little bit. So that's them, generate the report. And we will see that's a 22%, nearly 23, 781 points profit, 1.76 AE, 2.63 impact value. I would sort these by win percentage, and then anyone that's only got sort of 1 win out of 10, for example, and produces 1 point profit, I would just remove into cab, for example. I would maybe leave in some of these that have got a couple of wins. I would take out Big Shuffle. I think that's probably about it, really. The rest, the strike rate's not too bad. The actual expected Pastoral Pursuits, 1 from 7, 3 places, 10 points profit. I'll probably leave that. And win P&L. Probably just leave these guys because they're small samples. So that just increases the strike rate and profitability a little bit. So then I would add that and call it so that's sprinters. Just double check that those are the filters. Damsire, flat turf, race class. Again, it's not showing up for some reason, but I would add that in as an angle. So then I'm looking at the Damsires in mile races. So that's 7 furlongs to 1 mile, 4 furlongs. These are the Sires. So again, what I would do is just remove those Sires. And then select Damsire, generate the report. And then I would just add in all of these. And what it's worthwhile doing is going back over some of these systems once they've been built and looking at the filters. So how do the 2-year-olds perform? how did 3-year-olds perform, etc. So that's a 23% strike rate. Again, I'm going to look at those that are lowest in terms of strike rate, and I'd probably remove Honda Loy, that's 11%. Maybe remove Manduro, Green Desert. Must be getting on a bit. Green Desert, I think. Halved loses each way. I'll probably just take that out because it's a single qualifier from 7, single winner from 7. And again, looking at things like win P&L and actual expected. Yeah, I'll probably take out Green Desert. So again, that's increased the strike rate a little bit. So that's a good Sire system for Damsire system rather for miles. And we can look at some of these qualifiers to get an idea of how many selections it will produce. So not that many. So for example, there's a 2-to-1 winner, 7-to-2, 12-to-1, 10-to-1. You'll probably get some of these shocks come in sometimes. Oh, clicked on the race. So that's the Hungerford Stakes Group 2, Witch Hunter, 12-to-1. So like I said, when you're building these systems, what you can do is look at various things like the country, the major race class, basically just the filters that we have applied here. So we can look at the distance. Again, that's only really 7 to 8 furlong races, excuse me. The other thing we can look at is the odds rank. So we see the strike rate. It's actually not too bad, it's pretty consistent, it doesn't drop off that much, but I'll say a 51% win strike rate is pretty good. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that set of filters for those Damsires in Group 1, Group 2, non-handicaps obviously, at that distance. So we've saved that one, and then we go to, where are we at, mid-distance. Those are the, oh, hold on, what's happened here? For some reason that's got that set for a mid-distance one. I'll have to double check that, but that's very interesting. I wonder if I saved that in the wrong heading there. Just check the other ones that I've just done. Stairs. Yeah, that seems okay. Marathon. That also seems okay. So yeah, I've obviously made a little bit of a mistake here. That's why it's a good idea to double check all this stuff. Oh, there we go. Hold on. So we've got Damsires, Milers. Just check that. Yeah. So the one that's the mid-distance one for the Sires that I created, I've made a bit of a boo-boo there, so I'm going to have to I'm going to have to reset that. So mid distance was 1 mile 2 furlongs to 1 mile 5 furlongs, if I remember rightly. And I'm just going to take all those sires out again and repeat that exercise that I did before. I think I've probably just made a mistake there because see the stars and all those guys aren't actually in there for some reason. Okay, just double check this. 1 mile 2 furlong, 1 mile 5 furlong. Check the race class again. Yep. And yeah, these are the sires I noted before. So yeah, when you're doing this, it's quite easy to get lost a little bit. Okay. That's more like it. I could have sworn See the Stars was in there. Maybe I'm losing it. I just want to check that actually because maybe it was in the milers. I saw See the Stars. I definitely remember adding into something. Stairs. Okay. Obviously I'm kind of speeding through this a little bit, so I've maybe made a mistake somewhere along the line, but I'm pretty sure that I added See the Stars in for these middle distance guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reset this. So I'm starting with scratch, and I'm going to do country, UK and Ireland, race code, flat turf, major race class 1 and 2, distance, it's definitely 1 mile 2 to 1 mile 5 I put in, I'm sure. Handicap no, runner, base it on the Sire. Summary, I wonder if it's one of these. See the Stars. Oh, it's because of his win P&L. Right, okay. Yeah, he doesn't make a profit with these runners. I just want to double check See the Stars because I want to look at his record over different distances. So I think the milers I had set to 7 furlongs to 1 mile 1. He loses. 1 mile 2 to 1 mile 5 I've just done, so 1 mile 6 to 2 miles 2 was it? Yeah, okay, I must have made a mistake then. See the Stars doesn't show up. Okay, so where were we? We were at Damsires, milers, and we were just about to do Damsires middle distance. So if we just double check that one I've updated. Oh, this is weird, what's going on? I definitely updated that, didn't I? Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Sometimes you just need to reset it. Right, that's fine. Okay, so that's all good. So Damsires middle distance. It's obviously loaded up those filters from the sires. So then it's just a case of removing those sires. So I don't know what happened there. Sometimes I just click on the wrong thing or I update the wrong system and I'll have to go back and double check everything. Always double check everything before I actually make it a final system. And I always double check them all when I go back over them each month. So Okay, so we'll see all the Damsires at that trip now. So let's add in, let's put these back to 1 and 1.25. This gives us our shortlist, our long shortlist. And with all these Sire and Damsire based systems, I like to throw in one specific to the going as well at some point to make sure that they can act on the going, because obviously some progeny prefer fast ground, some prefer slower. So that's actually that's almost a 31% strike rate, 260 points, P&L, etc. And I'll look at the win percentage. There's nothing really worth removing from there. P&L, Hernando. I'm not going to remove Hernando. AE, Monson. The only ones I'd probably consider removing would be maybe Barathea and Pivotal, but no, I probably won't remove Guineas Winners. Sadler as well, again, he's been on the go for a long time. I can imagine his record will start to drop off at some point. But I'm happy just leaving all those in, and I'll keep an eye on it as I go along. So that's Damsires mid distance. The next one was Stairs. 1 mile 6 to 2 mile 2 furlongs. Again, I'll remove all the sires. Go to Damsire, generate the report, summary. That's a much smaller list. You can see though that there's, I think maybe See the Stars was a Damsire actually, that's what I was getting confused about. Yeah, so 36% strike rate, that's pretty good. There's nothing really that I would remove from that at all. So those are Damsires, Stairs. Add that as an angle. And then finally, Marathon. So again, that's 2 mile 4 furlong plus, which is basically the Gold Cup. Not too many sires to remove from that. I can't imagine there'd be too many Damsires either, but we'll see. Okay, well, the small samples obviously because it's just one race in general, so 33% strike rate, qualifiers, Courage Mon Ami, so we see, yeah, that was a Sire and a Damsire, this was Sire and a Damsire, that's just Damsire I think, yeah, so there's maybe, you know, 1 or 2 qualifiers in a Gold Cup each year that would hit that, so it's, we can see there's some quite decent odds, and it's found the winner in the last 3 years just from those sires. So yeah, that's Damsires Marathon. So that's basically me created in a relatively short period of time Sire and Damsire based systems for Group 1 and Group 2 races over sprints, miles, middle distance, staying and marathons. Well, Gold Cup. Could probably just call that Gold Cup. So yeah, that's basically all the kind of Group 1 and Group 2 approaches that I would use. I've done trainers. I'd maybe start looking at jockeys in the next video, and then I'll start dropping down, maybe look at some Group 3 enlisted contests for those same kind of filters for trainers, sires, Damsires, etc. So hope you enjoyed that video. Breeding can be quite a good tool to find winners that the general public don't, so I'm looking forward to using this in the flat. Cheers.